Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. Today on ABC News Live, the criminal investigation after more classified documents were found in President Biden's home. What we're learning about the special counsel appointed by the Justice Department and what the White House is saying now. Sentencing day for the Trump Organization, what it could mean for the former president and his namesake family company. We're live at the courthouse. The trail of destruction after a deadly tornado outbreak in the South. At least 35 reported twisters tore through 3 states. Our team is in hard-hit Alabama. But we begin with President Biden under investigation by his own Justice Department after classified documents were found in his Delaware home and an office space he used as a private citizen. Attorney General Merrick Garland named former U.S. Attorney Robert Hur as special counsel to lead the probe. Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas has the latest.
President Biden's handling of classified documents, the subject of a full-scale criminal investigation by his own Justice Department.
The extraordinary circumstances here require the appointment of a special counsel for this matter.
Those extraordinary circumstances, a chain of events that began on November 2nd, when Biden's personal attorneys discovered at least 10 top-secret documents about a number of foreign countries at the Penn Biden Center, a Washington think tank. Those lawyers contacted the National Archives, which quickly reached out to the Justice Department. Attorney General Garland, in response, directed the U.S. Attorney in Chicago, John Laus, a Trump appointee, to pursue a preliminary investigation. While that probe was underway, another bombshell. More classified documents discovered 48 days later at Biden's home, many of them in his garage.
The FBI went to the location and secured those documents.
As the evidence mounted on January 5th, Laus made a dramatic recommendation to his boss: appoint a special counsel. Yet another revelation. DOJ told on Thursday that another classified document was found in a room adjacent to that garage at President Biden's Wilmington home. The new special counsel appointed to determine what took place? Veteran prosecutor Robert Hur, formerly the U.S. Attorney for the state of Maryland, also appointed by former President Donald Trump.
This appointment underscores for the public the department's commitment to both independence and accountability.
President Biden on defense.
Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street. People know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully.
And the White House counsel's office saying the documents were inadvertently misplaced and that Biden's team quickly responded to, quote, the mistake. Biden's supporters were also quick to point out that the special counsel investigation of Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents is dramatically different. They say Trump took hundreds of classified documents and fought efforts to retrieve them, and that Biden's team immediately reached out to the appropriate officials once they found he also had classified documents. President Biden and some of his aides now facing the potential of grand juries, subpoenas, and the potential that the special counsel might want to question the president himself. Diane?
All right, Pierre Thomas in Washington for us. Thank you. And White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks joins me live along with ABC News investigative reporter Catherine Faulders for more. Catherine, what can you tell us about the special counsel, Robert Hur, and where this investigation goes from here?
Yeah, so Robert Hur is actually a Trump appointee. He left the Department of Justice when Biden became president, but of course, Attorney General Merrick Garland bringing him back in. This is to stay above the fray politically, if you will, saying he was appointed by Trump. He's had this long tenure in the Justice Department. Now, in terms of where this investigation goes from here, you heard Pierre talk a bit about whether there will be subpoenas, whether there will be a grand jury, whether they will try and talk to the president himself. All of those are questions that we'll probably learn more about down the line. But we do know, as part of that preliminary investigation before the special counsel was appointed, that there were interviews of Biden aides, people who worked for the Obama-Biden administration at the time, to get a better grasp on how these documents could have ended up in areas that weren't secure. Now, that U.S. attorney who did the preliminary investigation, of course, recommended to Garland that there needed to be more investigating. There's questions questions about why he believed that. Who had access to these documents? Did anybody access them while they were at those locations in a not secure area? All of those are questions that investigators will be asking, that the special counsel will be asking as he begins his probe into this.
Now, Mary Alice, reporters grilled White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about the lack of transparency on this issue. How's the White House responding to that?
Yeah, Diana, they absolutely hammered her, wanting clarification here and wanting explanation about the timeline here. You know, one big question is if anyone with the Biden team, any of his personal lawyers, anyone with the White House counsel was aware that there was this extensive review going on around the Biden residence, around other offices, and that other documents with classified markings had been found, why in the world did the president go out earlier this week in Mexico City and refer only to the box of documents found here in D.C. in his office at the Penn Center? I think those are really fair questions. You know, the White House says that they're trying to be transparent. They're trying to do everything by the book. They're cooperating extensively with the Department of Justice. But it's hard to make this argument about transparency when information is coming out to the American people in drips and drabs. And I think that they're going to continue to be pressed on exactly the timeline when the president knew that some of these documents were found and how transparent they've been with the American people.
Catherine, President Biden is also facing investigations from Congress, including from within his own party. So could we see any collaboration there, or are they all independent of one another?
I think they're independent of one another. What we might see, and we saw this when the Democrats controlled the House Oversight Committee recently when they were investigating the Trump documents, we might see letter traffic from the National Archives or from the Department of Justice to these House committees saying that they don't want the National Archives to provide them with documents, or the White House, for example, because it's part of an ongoing criminal investigation. This was similar to what they said related to Trump. But look, by all intents and purposes, this is still continuing with Republicans on Capitol Hill. They want to investigate this further. I actually just have this letter that came moments ago from the House Oversight Committee. The chairman, Jim Comer there, he says he's renewing this request to the White House. He writes in a letter to the White House counsel that he's asking for all these documents be turned over to the committee. He's just sent this letter to the White House counsel in the wake of more documents being discovered. So even though there's a special counsel, they say, Republicans on the Hill say that wasn't necessary. Even though there's a special counsel and this is part of a broader investigation into any potential wrongdoing, Republicans are still renewing these requests.
All right, Mary Alice Parks at the White House, Catherine Falders for us. Thank you both. Meanwhile, the Trump Organization has been fined $1.6 million after being convicted on 17 counts of tax fraud. Former President Trump himself was not charged, but his namesake company got the maximum penalty allowed by law. Senior investigative reporter Aaron Katursky joins me live, along with ABC News legal analyst Kim Whaley for more on this. Aaron, what's the latest on this finding now, on this sentencing?
It was just a moment ago, Diane, the judge here at court imposed the maximum fine of $1.6 million on two entities of the Trump Organization for what prosecutors with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office called a multidimensional scheme to evade taxes over a 13-year period. One executive, the former chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, evaded nearly $2 million in taxes by taking part of his compensation off the books in the form of rent, car leases, tuition for the grandkids, those kinds of payments. And even though it's just $1.6 million, we spoke a moment ago to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. He conceded it's not enough.
So
$1.6 million for a company the size of the Trump Organization feels like a drop in the bucket.
It is. It's unfortunate. You know, I said earlier, and it was alluded to in court by ADA Steinglass as well. This is not given the money of the corporations is not a significant penalty. We think significant symbolically and sends a message. But we're calling for the law to change so that this type of a fraud will be acknowledged by the law and that there'll be a real deterrent by monetary penalty. So we're calling for that, and we'll be working with our partners in Albany.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg just moments ago commenting on the $1.6 million penalty imposed on the Trump Organization, which issued a statement just a moment ago, and it says that the company and former President Trump are both victims of New York, which the company said has become the crime and murder capital of the world. Yet these politically motivated prosecutors will stop at nothing to get former President Trump and continue what the statement calls the never-ending witch hunt. So, Diane, you can see that the Trump organization isn't going to take this lying down.
So, Kim, it may be a drop in the bucket for the company in terms of the amount of money, but this was the maximum sentence possible. Does that send some kind of message?
So what Mr. Bragg was saying is there's a cap and statutorily under the laws in New York. That's not the case in other parts of the country. It could have been much higher. But in response to the Trump statement, just to be clear, this is a jury of New Yorkers that made this decision that the Trump organization violated criminal laws, not the prosecutors. And the message here is not just to the Trump organization moving forward. Listen, we're on this kind of sort of systematic, widespread culture of legal violations cannot continue within the Trump organization, but also letting know other organizations in New York that this kind of wrongdoing, even if it's a drop in the bucket financially, and will have a stain on the organization, and the authorities are paying attention to this moving forward.
All right, Aaron Katersky at the courthouse in Manhattan, Kimberly Whaley, thank you both. And we're getting a scope of the destruction after a deadly tornado outbreak across the South. More than 30 twisters were reported in 3 states, and at least 7 people are reported dead. Our Steve Osunsami is in hard-hit Alabama with the latest.
The tornadoes and deadly winds that cut through the Southeast have left a trail of heartache.
This was my mom's house, y'all. My sister lived in it.
At least 7 people in Georgia and Alabama did not make it through the night. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey declared a state of emergency for 6 counties after at least 23 reported tornadoes were seen in her state.
Look at that tornado.
In Selma, seen from the sky, this is what a tornado left of one neighborhood. And a few minutes later, in rural Autauga County, authorities confirmed that this same storm damaged or destroyed 40 to 50 homes.
I just never thought I'd be in that kind of situation, but I know nobody does.
Georgia was up next, where schools closed early to get kids home safely. Near Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta, a confirmed tornado tore through a warehouse with workers inside who were praying for their lives.
The door started to blow open because the wind was picking up, and then it flew all the way open. And I was trying to close it. The power went out, and then I just hear crashing.
The storm flipped cars outside a Walmart and brought flooding rains to the region.
We have seen possibly 20 to 30 houses that have been destroyed from the tornado.
This same storm system also left piles of ruin in central Kentucky. And in parts of Tennessee, the winds were strong enough to bring down the side of this brick building and crush any vehicle that stood in the way.
The wind was blowing so hard today, you couldn't even hear the car alarm go off when the first car got smashed.
This is what's left of one of those homes in Autauga County, Alabama, where several homes were destroyed and a number of people did not make it through the storm. And as always, you find these little signs of life left behind that really underline what really matters. This is a Bible that I found that was lost in this field. The home that was here was moved off its foundation about 100 feet away and then torn into bits behind me. There are power crews that are out this morning. They're trying to restore power to this area, and they're going to need it because now that the storm is past, it's gotten really cold here, and the storm continues to move north and east. Diane.
It sounds like they'll need all the help they can get. Steve Osunsami in Autauga County, Alabama, thank you. And tributes are pouring in after the unexpected death of Lisa Marie Presley. Mourners have been leaving flowers at the gates of Graceland, where just this past Sunday, the singer celebrated what would have been her father's 88th birthday. Our Matt Rivers has the latest.
Lisa Marie Presley has died after reportedly suffering cardiac arrest on Thursday. TMZ reporting Presley was found unresponsive at her Calabasas home Thursday morning.
Engine 125 squad, 68 full arrest.
Her ex-husband, Danny Keogh, performing CPR until medics could arrive. They reportedly administered epinephrine, Presley regaining a pulse before she was rushed to West Hills Hospital. Her mother, Priscilla, seen racing to be by her side. Priscilla confirming the news in a statement to People, quote, "It is with a heavy heart that I must share the devastating news that my beautiful daughter Lisa Marie has left us. She was the most passionate, strong, and loving woman I have ever known." The Presley family telling ABC News they are profoundly grateful for the support, love, and prayers of everyone and ask for privacy during this very difficult time. Lisa Marie Presley was 54 years old.
And Diane, so far, no word on any public funeral arrangements yet from the family. Diane?
All right, Matt Rivers, thank you. Coming up, what U.S. intelligence agencies are now revealing about UFOs. Also ahead, Rihanna is teasing her long-awaited return to the stage. The new Super Bowl sneak peek when we come back. Welcome back. The U.S. intelligence community says UFO reports involving the military are on the rise. The Pentagon has looked at 366 new reports, deeming half of them unremarkable, but investigators are still trying to determine the cause of the others. Our Brittany Shepard has that story.
U.S. intelligence agencies confirm hundreds of additional UAP sightings have been reported. UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, otherwise known as UFOs. The annual report on unidentified aerial phenomena now reveals 366 new close encounters since an agency was formed in 2021 to track them. That's more than double the number reported in the previous 17 years combined.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at the fly.
Officials say they can explain less than half those encounters, usually a mix of drones, balloons, or birds. The rest remain a mystery. Like this Navy pilot's video from 2004, showing a group of unknown aviators seemingly defying the laws of physics.
There's a whole fleet of them. Oh my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Or this inexplicable run-in off the coast of California in 2015.
Whoa, it's getting close.
Pentagon officials say it's not time to call the men in black just yet.
Who are you? Really?
Really? I am just a figment of your imagination.
But they say it's crucial to track, investigate, and disclose reported incidents to help protect national security and safety for all Earthling flyers.
I think one of the key points in this report, given the potential hazard that UAPs do present, notably there's been no reported collisions.
Our thanks to Brittany Shepard for that. And ABC News senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez joins me now for more on this. Hi, Louis. So when you say UFO, we often think of alien spacecraft. The flying objects in these reports are described as appearing, and I quote here, to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities. So what does that mean?
That means you can't explain what you're seeing, and that's what happens when military pilots or personnel aboard ships see something in the skies that they can't explain. You're used to normal travel patterns, normal flight patterns, but when something appears on your sensors, and let's remember now, most of these modern aircraft have significantly sophisticated equipment that picks up some of the stuff. What you're seeing on your screen right now was captured by some of those sensors aboard high-tech aircraft. And so when you can't explain it, then the Pentagon raises concerns because it could pose a safety risk, as you heard there from General Ryder, and it could pose potentially the threat that this is foreign surveillance of our military. So the Pentagon and the U.S. intelligence community really want to get to the bottom of what these are. And as we saw in Brittany's report there, a lot of it can be explained to terrestrial reasons. But of course, the real interest is always about whether this is extraterrestrial and not from this Earth.
So here's what I'm hearing. It could be alien spacecraft. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, you know what's really important here is that the Pentagon has started their own office here of about, I think since last summer, that's been really digging deep into these reported sightings. A lot of them, by the way, in the last 18 months since that initial report back in June of 2021. And they think that a lot of them are because of the reducing the stigma and stepping forward with it. In the days past, it could have been that pilots were nervous about what their peers would think if they really stepped forward and said, hey, I saw something or my sensor picked something up. So now this Pentagon office is working with other agencies in the federal government, collecting data, and they're able to explain some of this stuff. But what's really important about when we talked to the head of that office back in December, he said he's not ruling anything out, because even though there might be some terrestrial explanations for some of these things, they're taking a scientific approach to this, and they don't want to rule anything out. So to your point, Diane, it's very possible.
All right, I'm on the lookout here, Louis. I'm on the lookout. We appreciate it, as always. Keep your eyes up, Louis. Coming up, the Justice Department is forcing Los Angeles-based City National Bank to pay millions, accusing it of refusing mortgages in predominantly Black and Latino communities. What we're learning about the historic settlement. Also ahead, Rihanna is teasing her long-awaited return to the stage. The new Super Bowl sneak peek when we come back. Welcome back. Do you ever miss snacks from your childhood? Well, you're not alone. Yelp reports users are increasingly searching for the nearest spot to get old fast food favorites. And even healthy eaters are apparently feeling nostalgic. Trend tracker Tara Galani has more.
I'm trend tracker Tara Gilani. My favorite saying is, what's old is new. Me, of course. And now it also applies to food trends. Two of the biggest for 2023 revolve around nostalgia in two very different categories, healthy and fast food. There's nothing like the good old days. Yelp's 2023 trend forecast report confirms it. With food nostalgia searches up 90%, prediction is it will be a thing in 2023. Latest blast from the past came recently from McDonald's, where they brought back the McRib for a limited guest appearance. Back and here to stay, Happy Meal buckets from 1986. This year's Mickey D characters, McPumpkin, McGoblin, McBoo, resemble characters from, you guessed it, the 80s. The chain is also offering adult Happy Meals, hoping to get those all grown up to feel the joy of a toy. Keep an eye out for more fast food throwback marketing from the 80s. Cue Duran Duran. On the healthy food scene, nostalgia is also trending. On Whole Foods' list of top food trends for 2023, vintage retro flavors from childhood are back with a healthy twist. Whether you're following a special diet, looking to eat healthier, or just into trend setting, Whole Foods predicts a wave of nostalgia will hit product shelves. Think boxed mac and cheese, but vegan friendly, or classic cans of cola and root beer, but with added prebiotic benefits. What's next? Organic good and plenty? Stay tuned. Until next time, vintage TT out.
I'll take an organic Twitter's bar, Tara. Thanks for that. And you can check out our ABC News Live Instagram account to see Tara's latest video on new dating app trends. And now to some of the day's other top stories. Russian and Ukrainian troops are in an intense battle for a strategic town in eastern Ukraine. Russia claims it has captured Soledar, but Ukraine is disputing that. The news comes after a series of setbacks for Russia. City National Bank has agreed to a record settlement over alleged discriminatory housing practices. The company is accused of refusing to issue mortgages in predominantly Black and Latino communities in LA County between 2017 and 2020. City National tells ABC in a statement, "We disagree with the allegations, but nonetheless support the DOJ in its efforts to ensure equal access to credit for all consumers." The bank has agreed to put $29.5 million toward funding loan subsidies. Rihanna is teasing her long-awaited return to the stage. As she prepares for the Super Bowl halftime show, the superstar is giving us a sneak peek.
The fans just predicted the end of
No word yet on when Rihanna will release her highly anticipated new album. I'm Diane Macedo. Do stay with us as ABC News Live continues with more news, context, and analysis.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.